Hello dear friends, welcome to Certify Me YouTube channel. In this video, let us discuss AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate SWC03 previous and practice exam questions with detailed explanation. If you are new to my channel, subscribe for more practice questions. Without wasting the time, let's get started. Our first question is, a company runs a highly available image processing application on Amazon EC2 instances in a single VPC. The EC2 instances run inside several subnets across multiple availability zones. The EC2 instances do not communicate with each other. However, the EC2 instances download images from Amazon S3 and upload images to Amazon S3 through a single NAT gateway. The company is concerned about data transfer charges. What is the most cost effective way for the company to avoid regional data transfer charges? The options are option A, launch the NAT gateway in each availability zone. Option B, replace the NAT gateway with a NAT instance. Option C, deploy a gateway VPC endpoint for Amazon S3. Option D, provision an EC2 dedicated host to run the EC2 instances. So the correct answer is option C, deploy a gateway VPC endpoint for Amazon S3. When EC2 instances access S3 through a NAT gateway, it incurs regional data transfer charges, but with a gateway VPC endpoint, your EC2 instances can connect directly to S3 over the AWS private network, skipping the NAT gateway entirely. Second question, an application runs on an Amazon EC2 instance in a VPC. The application processes logs that are stored in an Amazon S3 bucket. The EC2 instance needs to access the S3 bucket without connectivity to the internet. Which solution will provide private network connectivity to Amazon S3? The options are option A, create a gateway VPC endpoint to the S3 bucket. Option B, stream the logs to Amazon CloudWatch logs. Export the logs to the S3 bucket. Option C, create an instance profile on Amazon EC2 to allow S3 access. Option D, create an Amazon API gateway API with a private link to access the S3 endpoint. The correct answer is option A. A gateway VPC endpoint enables your EC2 instance to connect directly to Amazon S3 over the AWS private network without needing internet access or a NAT gateway. This is exactly what you need for secure private communication. Third question. A company has a production workload that runs on 1000 Amazon EC2 Linux instances. The workload is powered by third-party software. The company needs to patch the third-party software on all EC2 instances as quickly as possible to remediate a critical security vulnerability. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A, create an AWS Lambda function to apply the patch to all EC2 instances. Option B, configure AWS Systems Manager Patch Manager to apply the patch to all EC2 instances. Option C, schedule an AWS Systems Manager maintenance window to apply the patch to all EC2 instances. Option D, use AWS Systems Manager run command to run a custom command that applies the patch to all EC2 instances. Please correct me if I am wrong. Let me know in the comment section. The correct answer for this question is option D. Use AWS Systems Manager run command to run a custom command that applies the patch to all EC2 instances. Next question. A company is running a popular social media website. The website gives users the ability to upload images to share with other users. The company wants to make sure that the images do not contain inappropriate content. The company needs a solution that minimizes development effort. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? The options are option A. Use Amazon Comprehend to detect inappropriate content. Use human review for low confidence predictions. Option B. Use Amazon recognition to detect inappropriate content. Use human review for low confidence predictions. Option C. Use Amazon SageMaker to detect inappropriate content. Use ground truth to label low level confidence predictions. Option D. Use AWS Parquet to deploy a custom machine learning model to detect inappropriate content. Use ground truth to label low confidence predictions. The, the correct answer for this question is option B. Use Amazon recognition. Amazon recognition can automatically detect inappropriate or unsafe content in images with minimal setup or custom code. It's specifically built for image and video moderation, unlike the other options, which require more development effort or are not suited for image content. Next question. A company uses NFS to store large video files in on-premises network attached storage. Each video file ranges in size from 1 MB to 500 GB. The total storage is 770 TB and is no longer growing. The company decides to migrate the video files to Amazon S3. The company must migrate the video files as soon as possible while using the least possible network bandwidth. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Create an S3 bucket. Create an IAM role that has permissions to write to the S3 bucket. Use the AWS CLI to copy all files locally to the S3 bucket. Option B. Create an AWS Snowball Edge job. Receive a Snowball Edge device on premises. Use the Snowball Edge client to transfer data to the device. Return the device so that AWS can import the data into Amazon S3. Option C. Deploy an S3 file gateway on premises. Create a public service endpoint to connect to the S3 file gateway. Create an S3 bucket. Create a new NFS file share on the S3 file gateway. Point the new file share to the S3 bucket. Transfer the data from the existing NFS file share to the S3 file gateway. Option D. Set up an AWS Direct Connect connection between the on-premises network and AWS. Deploy an S3 file gateway on-premises. Create a public virtual interface to connect to the S3 file gateway. Create an S3 bucket. Create a new NFS file share on the S3 file gateway. Point the new file share to the S3 bucket. Transfer the data from the existing NFS file share to the S3 file gateway. The correct answer for this question is option B. AWS Snowball Edge is designed for migrating large datasets quickly and securely without using much network bandwidth. You get a physical device delivered to your location, transfer the data locally, then send it back to AWS where the data is imported to your S3 bucket. This avoids long upload times and high bandwidth usage that other solutions might require. Next question. A company's HTTP application is behind a network load balancer. The NLB's target group is configured to use an Amazon EC2 autoscaling group with multiple EC2 instances that run the web service. The company notices that the NLB is not detecting HTTP errors. For the application, these errors require a manual restart of the EC2 instances that run the web service. The company needs to improve the application's availability without writing custom scripts or code. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Enable HTTP health checks on the NLB, supplying the URL of the company's application. Option B. Add a cron job to the EC2 instances to check the local application's logs once each minute. If HTTP errors are detected, the application will restart. Option C. Replace the NLB with an application load balancer. Enable HTTP health checks by supplying the URL of the company's application. Configure an auto-scaling action to replace unhealthy instances. Option D. Create an Amazon CloudWatch alarm that monitors the unhealthy host count metric for the NLB. Configure an auto-scaling action to replace unhealthy instances when the alarm is in the alarm state. The correct answer for this question is option C. Application load balancers support HTTP level health checks, unlike NLPs which operate at the transport layer. These health checks can detect application-specific HTTP errors, allowing the auto-scaling group to automatically replace failing EC2 instances. No custom code or scripting is needed, just ALB configuration. Next question. A company has registered its domain name with Amazon Route 53. The company uses Amazon API Gateway in the CA Central 1 region as a public interface for its backend microservice APIs. Third-party services consume the APIs securely. The company wants to design its API gateway URL with the company's domain name and corresponding certificate so that the third-party services can use HTTPS. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Create stage variables in API gateway with name, endpoint URL, and value is equal to company domain name. To override the default URL, import the public certificate associated with the company's domain name into AWS certificate manager. Option B. Create Route 53 DNS records with the company's domain name. Point the alias record to the regional API gateway stage endpoint. Import the public certificate associated with the company's domain name into AWS Certificate Manager in the US East 1 region. Option C. Create a regional API gateway endpoint. Associate the API gateway endpoint with the company's domain name. Import the public certificate associated with the company's domain name into AWS Certificate Manager in the same region. Attach the certificate to the API gateway endpoint. Configure Route 53 to route traffic to the API gateway endpoint. Option D. Create a regional API gateway endpoint. Associate the API gateway endpoint with the company's domain name. Import the public certificate associated with the company's domain name into AWS Certificate Manager in the US East 1 region. Attach the certificate to the API gateway APIs. Create Route 53 DNS records with the company's domain name. Point A, point and a record to the company's domain name. Correct answer for this question is option C. Regional API gateway endpoints are designed for custom domain names in a specific AWS region, like CS Central 1 in this case. You must import the TLS or SSL certificate into ACM in the same region as your API gateway, not in US East 1, which is only required for edge optimized APIs. Route 53 will then route DNS requests for your domain to the API gateway endpoint, completing the secure custom URL setup. Next question. A company collects data for temperature, humidity, and atmospheric pressure in cities across multiple continents. The average volume of data that the company collects from each site daily is 500 GB. Each site has a high-speed internet connection. The company wants to aggregate the data from all these global sites as quickly as possible in a single Amazon S3 bucket. The solution must minimize operational complexity. This solution meets these requirements. Option A: turn on S3 transfer acceleration on the destination S3 bucket. Use multi-part uploads to directly upload site data to the destination S3 bucket. Option B: upload the data from each site to an S3 bucket in the closest region. Use S3 cross-region replication to copy objects to the destination S3 bucket. Then remove the data from the origin S3 bucket. Option C: schedule AWS Snowball Edge storage, optimize device jobs daily to transfer data from each site to the closest region. Use S3 cross-region replication to copy objects to the destination S3 bucket. Option D: upload the data from each site to an Amazon EC2 instance in the closest region. Store the data in an Amazon Elastic Block Store volume at regular intervals. Take an EBS snapshot and copy it to the region that contains the destination S3 bucket. Restore the EBS volume in that region. Correct answer is option A. Next question. A company is running a business critical web application on Amazon EC2 instances. Behind an application load balancer, the EC2 instances are in an autoscaling group. The application uses an Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL database that is deployed in a single availability zone. The company wants the application to be highly available with minimum downtime and minimum loss of data. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational effect? Option A: place the EC2 instances in different AWS regions. Use Amazon Route 53 health checks to redirect traffic. Use Aurora PostgreSQL cross-region replication. Option B: configure the auto-scaling group to use multiple availability zones. Configure the database as multi-AZ. Configure an Amazon RDX proxy instance for the database. Option C: configure the auto-scaling group to use one availability zone. Generate hourly snapshots of the database. Recover the database from the snapshots in the event of a failure. Option D: configure the auto-scaling group to use multiple AWS regions. Write the data from the application to Amazon S3. Use S3 event notifications to launch an AWS Lambda function to write the data to the database. Correct answer is option B. Multi-AZ auto-scaling group increases availability and fault tolerance for your EC2 instances across zones. Aurora multi-AZ deployment with automatic failover ensures high database availability and minimal data loss in case of AZ failure. RDX proxy helps with efficient connection, pooling, and failover handling, reducing connection interruptions. Next question. A company is hosting a web application on AWS using a single Amazon EC2 instance that stores user uploaded documents in an Amazon EBS volume. For better scalability and availability, the company duplicated the architecture and created a second EC2 instance and EBS volume in another availability zone, placing both behind an application load balancer. After completing this change, users reported that each time they refreshed the website, they could see one subset of their documents or the other, but never all of the documents at the same time. What should a solutions architect propose to ensure users see all of their documents at once? Option A: copy the data so both EBS volumes contain all the documents. Option B: configure the application load balancer to direct a user to the S3, sorry, to the server with the documents. Option C: copy the data from both EBS volumes to Amazon EFS Modify the application to save new documents to Amazon EFS. Option D. Configure the application load balancer to send the request to both servers. Return each document from the current server. From the correct server. The correct answer is option C. Amazon EFS provides a shared file system that can be accessed simultaneously by multiple EC2 instances across availability zones. It enables high availability and scalability, perfect for a web app storing shared user documents. It removes the need to sync data manually or rely on staging. A company is building an e-commerce web application on AWS. The application sends information about new orders to an Amazon API gateway, REST API to process. The company wants to ensure that orders are processed in the order that they are received. Which solution will meet these requirements? The options are option A. Use an API gateway integration to publish a message to an Amazon Simple Notification Service topic when the application receives an order. Subscribe an AWS Lambda function to the sorry to the topic to perform processing. Option B. Use an API gateway integration. Send a message to an Amazon Simple Queue service first in first out queue when the application receives an order. Configure the SQS first in first out order queue to invoke an AWS Lambda function for processing. Option C. Use an API gateway authorizer to block any requests while the application processes an order. Option D. Use an API gateway integration to send a message to an Amazon Simple Queue service standard queue when the application receives an order. Configure the SQS standard queue to invoke an AWS Lambda function for processing. The correct answer is option B. SQS first in first out order queues preserve the exact order of messages, ensuring that orders are processed in the order they are received. Next question. A solutions architect is designing a new hybrid architecture to extend a company's on-premises infrastructure to AWS. The company requires a highly available connection with consistent low latency to an AWS region. The company needs to minimize costs and is willing to accept slower traffic if the primary connection fails. What should the solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Provision an AWS Direct Connect connection to a region. Provision a VPN connection as a backup if the primary direct connection fails. Option B. Provision a VPN tunnel connection to a region for private connectivity. Provision a second VPN tunnel for private connectivity and as a backup if the primary VPN connection fails. Option C. Provision an AWS Direct Connect connection to a region. Provision a second direct connect connection to the same region as a backup if the primary direct connect connection fails. Option D. Provision an AWS direct connect connection to a region. Use the direct connect failover attribute from the AWS CLI to automatically create a backup connection if the primary connect connection fails. Option A is the correct answer. Provision an AWS Direct Connect connection for consistent low latency and use a VPN as a backup for high availability at a lower cost. Next question. A company has an application that ingests incoming messages, dozens of other applications, and microservices then quickly consume these messages. The number of messages varies drastically and sometimes increases suddenly to 1 lakh each second. The company wants to decouple the solution and increase scalability. Which solution meet these requirements? Option A. Persist, sorry, persist the messages to Amazon Kinesis Data Analytics. Configure the consumer applications to read and process the messages. Option B. Deploy the ingestion application on Amazon EC2 instances in an auto-scaling group to scale the number of EC2 instances based on CPU metrics. Option C. Write the messages to Amazon Kinesis data streams with a single shard. Use an AWS Lambda function to process messages and store them in Amazon DynamoDB. Configure the consumer applications to read from DynamoDB to process the messages. Option D. Publish the messages to an Amazon Simple Notification Service topic with multiple Amazon Simple Queue service subscriptions. Configure the consumer applications to process the messages from the queue. The correct answer is option D. Amazon SMS with multiple SQS subscriptions allows you to decouple producers and consumers supports high message throughput, and scales automatically, making it ideal for scenarios with sudden spikes like 1 lakh messages per second. Next question. A company performs monthly maintenance on its AWS infrastructure. During these maintenance activities, the company needs to rotate the credentials for its Amazon RDS for MySQL databases across multiple AWS regions. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Option A. Store the credentials as a secret in AWS Secrets Manager. Use multi-region secret replication for the required regions. Configure Secrets Manager to rotate the secrets on schedule. Option B. Store the credentials as a secrets in AWS Systems Manager by creating a secure string parameter. Use multi-region secret replication for the required regions. Configure Systems Manager to rotate these secrets on a schedule. Option C. Store the credentials in an Amazon S3 bucket that has server-side encryption enabled. Use Amazon Event Bridge to invoke an AWS Lambda function to rotate the credentials. Option D. Encrypt the credentials as a secret by using AWS Key Management Service, multi-region customer manager keys. Store the secrets in an Amazon DynamoDB global table. Use an AWS Lambda function to retrieve the secrets from DynamoDB. Use the RDS API to rotate the secrets. The correct answer is option A. AWS Secrets Manager with multi-region replication and built-in schedule rotation provides a managed low operational overhead solution for securely storing and rotating RDS credentials across regions. Next question. A company hosts an application on multiple Amazon EC2 instances. The application processes messages from an Amazon SQS queue, writes to an Amazon RDS table, and deletes the messages from the queue. Occasional duplicate records are found in the RDS table. The SQS queue does not contain any duplicate messages. What should a solutions architect do to ensure messages are being processed once only? Option A. Use the create queue API call to create a new queue. Option B. Use the add permission API call to add appropriate permissions. Option C. Use the receive message API call to set an appropriate wait time. Option D. Use the change message visibility API call to increase the visibility timeout. The correct answer is option D. If the visibility timeout is too short, the message becomes visible again before processing finishes, causing it to be picked up and processed multiple times, leading to duplicate records in the RDS table. Increasing the visibility timeout ensures the message stays hidden until processing is complete. Next question. A company uses AWS organizations to manage multiple AWS accounts for different departments. The management account has an Amazon S3 bucket that contains project reports. The company wants to limit access to this S3 bucket to only users of accounts within the organization in AWS organizations. Which solution meets these requirements with the least amount of operational overhead? Option A. Add the AWS price principal organization ID global condition key with a reference to the organization ID to the S3 bucket policy. Option B. Create an organizational unit for each department. Add the AWS principal organization paths global condition key to the S3 bucket policy. Option C. Use AWS CloudTrail to monitor the create account, invite account to organization, leave organization, and remove account from organization events. Update the S3 bucket policy accordingly. Option D. Tag each user that needs access to the S3 bucket. Add the AWS principal tag global condition key to the S3 bucket policy. The correct answer is option A. This allows you to restrict access to all principals within your AWS organization with minimal management overhead. Next question. A company is migrating a distributed application to AWS. The application serves variable workloads. The legacy platform consists of a primary server that coordinates jobs across multiple compute nodes. The company wants to modernize the application with a solution that maximizes resiliency and scalability. How should a solutions architect design the architecture to meet these requirements? Option A. Configure an Amazon Simple to Service queue as a destination for the jobs. Implement the compute nodes with Amazon EC2 instances that are managed in an auto-scaling group. Configure EC2 auto-scaling to use scheduled scaling. Option B. Configure an Amazon Simple Queue Service queue as a destination for the jobs. Implement the compute nodes with Amazon EC2 instances that are managed in an auto-scaling group. Configure EC2 auto scaling based on the size of the queue. Option B is the correct answer. Option C. Implement the primary server and the compute nodes with the Amazon EC2 instances that are managed in an auto-scaling group. Configure AWS Cloud Trail as a destination for the jobs. Configure EC2 auto-scaling based on the load on the primary server. Option D. Implement the primary server and the compute nodes with Amazon EC2 instances that are managed in an auto-scaling group. Configure Amazon Event Bridge as a destination for the jobs. Configure EC2 auto-scaling based on the load on the compute nodes. So option B is the correct answer. Use an Amazon SQS queue to decouple job submission and processing and configure EC2 auto scaling based on the queue size to automatically scale compute nodes according to workload. This maximizes resiliency and scalability. Next question. A company has an application that generates a large number of files, each approximately 5 MB in size. The files are stored in Amazon S3. Company policy requires the files to be stored for 4 years before they can be deleted. Immediate accessibility is always required as the files contain critical business data that is not easy to reproduce. The files are frequently accessed in the first 30 days of the object creation but are rarely accessed after the first 30 days. This storage solution is most cost effective. Option A. Create an S3 bucket lifecycle policy to move files from S3 standard to S3 Glacier 30 days from object creation. Delete the files 4 years after object creation. Option B. Create an S3 bucket lifecycle policy to move files from S3 standard to S3 once on infrequent access 30 days from object creation. Delete, delete the files 4 years after object creation. Option C. Create an S3 bucket lifecycle policy to move files from S3 standard to S3 standard in frequent access 30 days from object creation. Delete the files 4 years after object creation. Option D. Create an S3 bucket lifecycle policy to move files from S3 standard to S3 standard in frequent access 30 days from object creation. Move the files to S3 Glacier 4 years after object creation. The correct answer is option C. Move files from S3 standard to S3 standard in frequent access after 30 days and delete them after 4 years. Next question. A company recently migrated to AWS and wants to implement a solution to protect the traffic that flows in and out of the production VPC. The company had an inspection server in its on-premises data center. The inspection server performed specific operations such as traffic flow inspection and traffic filtering. The company wants to have the same functionalities in the AWS cloud. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Use Amazon Guard Duty for traffic inspection and traffic filtering in the production VPC. Option B. Use traffic mirroring to mirror traffic from the production VPC for traffic inspection and filtering. Option C. Use AWS Network Firewall to create the required rules for traffic inspection and traffic filtering for the production VPC. Option D. Use AWS Firewall Manager to create the required rules for traffic inspection and traffic filtering for the production VPC. The correct answer is option C. Use AWS Network Firewall to create rules, traffic inspection and filtering within the production VPC. AWS Network Firewall is designed for in-depth network traffic inspection and filtering, similar to an on-premises inspection server. Next question. A company is launching a new application and will display application metrics on an Amazon CloudWatch dashboard. The company's product manager needs to access this dashboard periodically. A product manager does not have an AWS account. A solutions architect must provide access to the product manager by following the principle of least privilege. Which solution will meet this requirement? Option A. Share the dashboard from the CloudWatch console. Enter the product manager's email address and complete the sharing steps. Provide a shareable link for the dashboard to the product manager. Option B. Create an IAM user specifically for the product manager. Attach the CloudWatch read-only access AWS manager policy to the user. Share the new login credentials with the product manager. Share the browser URL of the correct dashboard with the product manager. Option C. Create an IAM user for the company's employees. Attach the view-only access AWS manager policy to the IAM user. Share the new login credentials with the product manager. Ask the product manager to navigate to the CloudWatch console and locate the dashboard by name in the dashboards section. Option D. Deploy a Bastion server in a public subnet. When the product manager requests access to the dashboard, start the server and share the RDP credentials. On the Bastion server, ensure that the browser is configured to open the dashboard URL with cached AWS credentials that have appropriate permissions to view the dashboard. The correct answer is option A. Share the CloudWatch dashboard directly from the console by entering the product manager's email and providing a shareable link. This allows access without requiring an AWS account, follows the least privilege principle, and is the a hospital recently deployed a RESTful API with Amazon API Gateway and AWS Lambda. The hospital uses API Gateway and Lambda to upload reports that are in PDF format and JPEG format. The hospital needs to modify the Lambda code to identify protected health information in the reports. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Option A. Use existing Python libraries to extract the text from the reports and to identify the PHI from the extracted text. Option B. Use Amazon TextRack to extract the text from the report. Use Amazon SageMaker to identify the PHI from the extracted text. Option C. Use Amazon TextRack to extract the text from the reports. Use Amazon Comprehend Medical to identify the PHI from the extracted text. Option D. Use Amazon Recognition to extract the text from the reports. Use Amazon Comprehend Medical to identify the PHA from the extracted text. Option C is the correct answer for this question. Use Amazon Extract to extract text from the reports and Amazon Comprehend Medical to identify PHA from the extracted text. The solution uses fully managed AWS services designed for document text extraction and medical data analysis, minimizing operational overhead. Next, move on to the next question. A company wants to reduce the cost of its existing three-tier web architecture. The web application and database servers are running on Amazon EC2 instances for the development, test, and production environments. The EC2 instances average 30% CPU utilization during peak hours and 10 hours CPU utilization during non-peak hours. The production EC2 instances run 24 hours a day. The development and test EC2 instances run for at least 8 hours each day. The company plans to implement automation to stop the development and test EC2 instances when they are not in use. Which EC2 instance purchasing solution will meet the company's requirement most cost effectively? Option A. Use spot instances for the production EC2 instances. Use reserved instances for the development and test EC2 instances. Option B. Use reserved instances for the production EC2 instances. Use on-demand instances for the development and test EC2 instances. Option C. Use spot blocks for the production EC2 instances. Use reserved instances for the development and test EC2 instances. Option D. Use on-demand instances for the production EC2 instances. Use spot blocks for the development and test EC2 instances. The correct answer is option B. Use reserved instances for the production EC2 instances to get cost savings and use on-demand instances for development and test instances since they are run only about 8 hours daily and can be stopped when not in use. This balance cost savings with flexibility and operational simplicity. Next question. A global company hosts its web application on Amazon EC2 instances behind an application load balancer. The web application has static data and dynamic data. The company stores its static data in Amazon S3 bucket. The company wants to improve performance and reduce latency for the static data and dynamic data. The company is using its own domain name registered with Amazon Route 53. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Create an Amazon CloudFront distribution that has the S3 bucket and the ALB as origins. Configure Route 53 to route traffic to the CloudFront distribution. Option B. Create an Amazon CloudFront distribution that has the ALB as an origin. Create an AWS Global Accelerator, standard accelerator that has the S3 bucket as an endpoint. Configure Route 53 to route traffic to the CloudFront distribution. Option C. Create an Amazon CloudFront distribution that has the S3 buckets as an origin. Create an AWS Global Accelerator standard accelerator that has the ALB and the CloudFront distribution as endpoints. Create a custom domain name that points to the accelerator DNS name. Use the custom domain name as an endpoint for the web application. Option D. Create an Amazon CloudFront distribution that has the ALB as an origin. Create an AWS Global Accelerator standard accelerator that has the S3 bucket as an endpoint. Create two domain names. Point one domain name to the CloudFront DNS name for dynamic content. Point the other domain name to the accelerator DNS name for static content. Use the domain names as endpoints for the web application. The correct answer is option A. Create a CloudFront distribution with both the S3 bucket and the ALB as origins and configure Route 53 to route traffic to the CloudFront distribution. Next question. A company has a production web application in which users upload documents through a web interface or mobile app. According to a new regulatory requirement, new documents cannot be modified or deleted after they are stored. What should solutions architect do to meet this requirement? Option A. Store the uploaded documents in an Amazon S3 bucket with S3 versioning and the S3 object lock enabled. Option B. Store the uploaded document in an Amazon S3 bucket. Configure an S3 lifecycle policy to achieve the documents periodically. Option C. Store the uploaded documents in an Amazon S3 bucket with S3 versioning enabled. Configure an ACL to restrict all access to read only. Option D. Store the uploaded documents on Amazon Elastic File System volume. Access the data by mounting the volume in read-only mode. The correct answer is option A. Store the uploaded documents in an Amazon S3 bucket with S3 versioning and S3 object lock enabled. This ensures that objects are immutable, cannot be modified or deleted for a specified retention period, meeting regulatory compliance. Next question. A company has more than 5 TB of file data on Windows file server that runs on premises. Users and applications interact with the data each day. The company is moving its Windows workloads to AWS. As the company continues this process, the company requires access to AWS and on-premises file storage with minimum latency. The company needs a solution that minimizes operational overhead and requires no significant changes to the existing file access patterns. The company uses an AWS site-to-site VPN connection for connectivity to AWS. What should a solution architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Deploy a configure Amazon FSx for Windows file server on AWS. Move the on-premises file data to FSx for Windows file server. Reconfigure the workloads to use FSx for Windows file server on AWS. Option B. Deploy and configure an Amazon S3 file gateway on premises. Move the on-premises file data to the S3 file gateway. Reconfigure the on-premises workloads and the cloud workloads to use the S3 file gateway. Option C. Deploy and configure an Amazon S3 file gateway on premises. Move the on-premises file data to Amazon S3. Reconfigure the workloads to use either Amazon S3 directly or the S3 file gateway depending on each workload's location. Option D. Deploy and configure Amazon FSx for Windows file server on AWS. Deploy and configure an Amazon FSx file gateway on premises. Move the on-premises file data to the FSx file gateway. Configure the cloud workloads to use FSx for Windows file server on AWS. Configure the on-premises workloads to use the FSx file gateway. The correct answer is option D. Deploy Amazon FSx for Windows file server on AWS along with an FSx file gateway on premises. Migrate the data to FSx and configure cloud workloads to use FSx directly and on-premises workloads to access the data via the FSx file gateway. Next question. A company has several web servers that need to frequently access a common Amazon RDS MySQL multi-AZ DB instance. The company wants a secure method for the web servers to connect the database while meeting a security requirements to rotate user credentials frequently. Which solution meets these requirements? Option A. Store the database user credentials in AWS Secrets Manager. Grant the necessary IAM permissions to allow the web servers to access AWS Secrets Manager. Option B. Store the database user credentials in AWS System Manager. Ops Center. Grant the necessary IAM permissions to allow the web servers to access Ops Center. Option C. Store the database user credentials in a secure Amazon S3 bucket. Grant the necessary YAML permissions to allow the web servers to retrieve credentials and access the database. Option D. Store the database user credentials in file encrypted with AWS Key Management Service on the web server file system. The web servers, the web server should be able to decrypt the files and access the database. The correct answer is option A. Store the database user credentials in AWS Secrets Manager and grant the servers IAM permissions to retrieve them. Next question. A company is running an SMB file server in its data center. The file servers The file server stores large files that are accessed frequently for the first few days after the files are created. After 7 days, the files are rarely accessed. The total data size is increasing and is closely to the company's total storage capacity. A solutions architect must increase the company's available storage space without losing low latency access to the most recently accessed files. The solutions architect must also provide file lifecycle management to avoid future storage issues. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Use AWS Data Sync to copy data that is older than 7 days from the SMB file server to AWS. Option B. Create an Amazon S3 file gateway to extend company storage space. Create an S3 lifecycle policy to transition the data to S3 Glacier. Deep archive after 7 days. Option C. Create an Amazon FSx for Windows file server file system to extend the company's storage space. Option D. Install a utility on each user's computer to access Amazon S3. Create an S3 lifecycle policy to transition the data to S3 Glacier flexible retrieval after 7 days. The correct answer is option B. Create an Amazon S3 file gateway to extend storage with an S3 lifecycle policy to transition data to S3 Glacier deep archival after 7 days. Next question. A company is implementing a new business application. The application runs on two Amazon EC2 instances and uses an Amazon S3 bucket for document storage. A solutions architect needs to ensure that the EC2 instances can access the S3 bucket. What should the solutions architect do to meet this requirement? Option A. Create an IAM role that grants access to the S3 bucket. Attach the role to the EC2 instances. Option B. Create an IAM policy that grants access to the S3 bucket. Attach the policy to the EC2 instances. Option C. Create an IAM group that grants access to the S3 bucket. Attach the group to the EC2 instances. Option D. Create an IAM user that grants access to the S3 bucket. Attach the user account to the EC2 instances. The correct answer for this question is option A. Create an IAM role with permissions to access the S3 bucket and attach the role to the EC2 instances. Let's move on to the next one. A company hosts an application on AWS Lambda functions that are invoked by an Amazon API gateway API. The Lambda functions saves customer data to an Amazon Aurora MySQL database. Whenever the company upgrades the database, the Lambda function fail to establish database connections until the upgrade is complete. The result is that customer data is not recorded for some of the events. A solutions architect who needs to design a solution that stores customer data that is created during database upgrades. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Provision an Amazon RDS proxy to sit between the Lambda functions and the database. Configure the Lambda functions to connect to the RDX proxy. Option B. Increase the runtime of the Lambda functions to the maximum. Create a retry mechanism in the code that stores the customer data in the database. Option C. Persist the customer data to the Lambda local storage. Configure new Lambda functions to scan the local storage to save the customer data to the database. Option D. Store the customer data in an Amazon simple queue, first in first out queue. Create a new Lambda function that pulls the queue and stores the customer data in the database. The correct answer is option D. Store the customer data in an Amazon SQS first in first out queue and create a Lambda function that pulls the queue and writes data to the database. Next question. A company runs its infrastructure on AWS and has a registered base of 70,000 users for its document management application. 7 lakh users for its document management application. The company intends to create a product that converts large .pdf files to .jpg image files. The .pdf files average 5 MB in size. The company needs to store the original files and the converted files. A solutions architect must design a scalable solution to accommodate demand that will grow rapidly over time. This solution meets these requirements most cost effectively. Option A. Save the .pdf files to Amazon S3. Configure an S3 put event to invoke an AWS Lambda function to convert the files to .jpg format and store them back in Amazon S3. Option B. Save the .pdf files to Amazon Dynamo use the DynamoDB streams feature to invoke an AWS Lambda function to convert the files to .jpg format and store them back in DynamoDB. Option C. Upload the .pdf files to an AWS Elastic Beanstalk application that includes Amazon EC2 instances, Amazon Elastic Block Store, storage, and an auto-scaling group. Use a program in the EC2 instances to convert the files to .jpg format. Save the .pdf files and the .jpg files in the EBS store. Option D. Upload the .pdf files to an AWS Elastic Beanstalk application that includes Amazon EC2 instances, Amazon Elastic File System, storage, and an auto-scaling group. Use a program in these EC2 instances to convert the file to .jpg format. Save the .pdf files and the .jpg files in the EBS store. The correct answer for this question is option A. Save the PDFs to Amazon S3. Use an S3 put event to trigger a Lambda function that converts the files to JPG and stores them back in solutions architect is developing a VPC architecture that includes multiple subnets. The architecture will host applications that use Amazon EC2 instances and Amazon RDS DB instances. The architecture consists of 6 subnets in 2 availability zones. Each availability zone includes a public subnet, a private subnet, and a dedicated subnet for databases. Only EC2 instances that run in the private subnets can have access to the RDS databases. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Create a new route table that excludes the route to the public subnets CIDR blocks. Associate the route table with the database subnets. Create a security group that denies inbound traffic from the security group that is assigned to instances in the public subnets. Attach the security group to the DB instances. Option C. Create a security group that allows inbound traffic from the security group that is assigned to instances in the private subnets. Attach the security group to the DB instances. Option D. Create a new peering connection between the public subnets and the private subnets. Create a different peering connection between the private subnets and the database subnets. The correct answer for this question is option C. Use security groups to allow access only from EC2 instances in private subnets. Security groups control traffic and referencing the EC2 instance. SG ensures only those instances can connect to the RDS database. Next question. A survey company has gathered data for several years from areas in the United States. The company hosts the data in an Amazon S3 bucket that is in 3 TB in size and growing. The company has started to share the data with a Europe marketing firm that has S3 buckets. The company wants to ensure that its data transfer costs remain as low as possible. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Configure the requested paste feature on the company's S3 bucket. Option B. Configure the S3 cross-region replication from the company's S3 bucket to one of the marketing firm's S3 buckets. Option C. Configure cross-account access for the marketing firm so that the marketing firm has access to the company's S3 bucket. Option D. Configure the company's S3 bucket to use S3 intelligent tiering. Sync the S3 bucket to one of the marketing firm's S3 buckets. The correct answer is option A. Configure the requested paste feature on the company's S3 bucket. Requested paste shifts the data transfer cost to the requester. This helps the survey company keep its transfer costs low while still allowing access to the data. Next question. A company hosts a data lake on AWS. The data lake consists of data in Amazon S3 and Amazon RDS for PostgreSQL. The company needs a reporting solution that provides data visualization and includes all the data sources within the data lake. Only the company's management team should have full access to all the visualizations. The rest of the company should have only limited access. This solution will meet these requirements. Option A. Create an analysis in Amazon QuickSight. Connect all the data sources and create new data sets. Publish dashboards to visualize the data share the data share the dashboards with the appropriate IAM roles. Option B. Create an analysis in Amazon QuickSight. Connect all the data sources and create new data sets. Publish dashboards to visualize the data. Share the dashboards with the appropriate users and groups. Option C. Create an AWS Glue table and crawler for the data in the Amazon S3. Create an AWS Glue extract, transform, and load job to produce reports. Publish the reports to Amazon S3. Use S3 bucket policies to limit access to the reports. Option D. Create an AWS Glue table and crawler for the data in Amazon S3. Use Amazon Athena federated query to access data within Amazon RDS for PostgreSQL. Generate reports by using Amazon Athena. Publish the reports to Amazon S3. Use S3 bucket policies to limit access to the reports. The correct answer is option B. Amazon QuickSight is a reporting and data visualization tool that can connect to multiple data sources like Amazon S3 and Amazon RDS for PostgreSQL. It allows you to control user and group level access to dashboards, meeting the requirement to give full access to management and limited access to the others. Next question. A company uses Amazon S3 to store its confidential audit documents. The S3 bucket uses bucket policies to restrict access to audit team IAM user credentials according to the principle of least privilege. Company managers are worried about accidental deletion of documents in the S3 bucket and want a more secure connection. What should a solutions architect do to secure the audit documents? Option A. Enable the versioning and MFA delete features on the S3 bucket. Option B, enable multi-factor authentication on the IAM user credentials for each audit team IAM user account. Option C, add an S3 lifecycle policy to the audit team's IAM user accounts to any S3 delete object action during audit dates. Option D, use AWS key management service to encrypt the S3 bucket and restrict audit team IAM user accounts from accessing the KMS key. The correct answer is option A. Enable versioning ensures that deleted or overwritten objects can be recovered. Enabling MFA delete adds an extra layer of security by requiring MFA authentication. MFA means multi-factor authentication. Authentication to delete objects, preventing accidental or unauthorized deletions. Next question. A company is deploying a new public web application to AWS. The application will run behind an application load balancer. The application needs to be encrypted at the edge with an SSL or TLS certificate that is issued by an external certificate authority. This certificate must be rotated each year before the certificate expires. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Use AWS Certificate Manager to issue an SSL or TLS certificate. Apply the certificate to the ALB. Use the Managed Renewal feature to automatically rotate the certificate. Option B. Use AWS Certificate Manager to issue an SSL or TLS certificate. Import the key material from the certificate. Apply the certificates to the all use the Managed Renewal feature to automatically rotate the certificate. Option C. Use AWS Certified Manager, private certificate authority to issue an SSL or TLS certificate from the root CA. Apply the certificate to the ALB. Use the Manager Renewal feature to automatically rotate the certificate. Option D. Use AWS Certificate Manager to import an SSL or TLS certificate. Apply the certificate to the ALB. Use Amazon Event Bridge to send a notification when the certificate is nearing expiration. Rotate the certificate manually. The correct answer is option D. Use AWS Certificate Manager to import an SSL or TLS certificate. Apply the certificate to the ALB. Use Amazon Event Bridge to send a notification when the certificate is nearing expiration. Rotate the certificate manually. Next question. A company has an application that runs on Amazon EC2 instances and uses an Amazon Aurora database. The EC2 instances connect to the database by using usernames and passwords that are stored locally in a file. The company wants to minimize the operational overhead of credentials management. What should a solutions architect do to accomplish this goal? Option A. Use AWS Secrets Manager, turn on automatic rotation. Option A is the correct answer, no doubt. Option B, use AWS Systems Manager parameters store, turn on automatic rotation. Option C, create an Amazon S3 bucket to store objects that are encrypted with an AWS key management service encryption key. Migrate the credential file to the S3 bucket, point the application to the S3 bucket. Option D, create an encrypted Amazon Elastic Block Store volume for each EC2 instance. Attach the new ABS volume to each EC2 instance. Migrate the credentials file to the new ABS volume, point the application to the new ABS volume. The correct answer is option A. AWS Secrets Manager is designed specifically for securely storing, managing, and automatically rotating credentials, including database usernames and passwords. It integrates with Amazon Aurora, allowing you to automate credential rotation, reducing operational overhead. Next, move on to the next question. A company is using a SQL database to store movie data that is publicly accessible. The database runs on an Amazon RDS single AZDB instance. A script runs queries at random intervals each day to record the number of new movies that have been added to the database. The script must report a final total during business hours. The company's development team notices that the database performance is inadequate for development tasks when the script is running. A solutions architect must recommend a solution to resolve this issue. Option: which solution will meet this requirement with the least operational overhead? Option A: modify the DB instance to be a multi-AZ deployment. Option B: create a read replica of the database. Configure the script to query only the read replica. Option C: instruct the development team to manually export the entries in the database at the end of each day. Option D: use Amazon Elastic Cache to cache the common queries that the script runs against the database. The correct answer is option B. A read replica offloads read-heavy operations from the main database, improving performance for the primary write-read workloads. This solution introduces minimal operational overhead as AWS manages the replication. It is cost-effective and doesn't require major changes to the existing setup. Next question. An application development team is designing a microservice that will convert large images to smaller, compressed images. When a user uploads an image through the web interface, the microservice should store the image in an Amazon S3 bucket, process and compress the image with an AWS Lambda function, and store the image in its compressed form in a different S3 bucket. A solutions architect needs to design a solution that uses durable, stateless components to process the images automatically. Which combination of actions will meet these requirements? Choose two options. Option A: create an Amazon Simple Queue service queue. Configure the S3 bucket to send a notification to the SQS queue when an image is uploaded to the S3 bucket. Option B: configure the Lambda function to use the Amazon Simple Queue service queue as the invocation source. When the SQS message is successfully processed, delete the message in the queue. Option C: configure the Lambda function to monitor the S3 bucket for new uploads. When an uploaded image is detected, write the file name to a text file in memory and use the text file to keep track of the images that were processed. Option D: launch an Amazon EC2 instances to monitor an Amazon Simple Queue when items are added to the queue. Queue log the file name in a text file on the EC2 instance and invoke the Lambda function. Option E: configure an Amazon event bridge event to monitor the S3 bucket. When an image is uploaded, send an alert to an Amazon simple notification service topic with the application owner's email address for the further processing. The correct options are option A and option B. Next question. A company has application that runs on Amazon EC2 instances in a VPC. One of the applications needs to call the Amazon S3 API to store and read objects according to the company's security regulations. No traffic from the applications is allowed to travel across the internet. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A: configure an S3 gateway endpoint. Option B: create an S3 bucket in a private subnet. Option C: create an S3 bucket in the same AWS region as the EC2 instances. Option D: configure a NAT gateway in the same subnet as the EC2 instances. The correct answer is option A. An S3 gateway VPC endpoint allows your EC2 instances in a VPC to access Amazon S3 without sending traffic over the internet. It uses the AWS private network, ensuring compliance with security regulations that forbid internet traffic. Next question. A company is developing a two-tier web application on AWS. The company's developers have deployed the application on an Amazon EC2 instance that connects directly to a backend Amazon RDS database. The company must not hardcode database credentials in the application. The company must also implement a solution to automatically rotate the database credentials on a regular basis. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Option A: store the database credentials in this instance metadata. Use Amazon Event Bridge rules to run a scheduled AWS Lambda function that updates the RDS credentials and instance metadata at the same time. Option B: store the database credentials in a configuration file in an encrypted Amazon S3 bucket. Use Amazon Event Bridge Rules to run a scheduled AWS Lambda function that updates the RDS credentials and the credentials in the configuration file at the same time. Use the S3 versioning to ensure the ability to fall back to previous values. Store the database credentials as a secrets in AWS Secrets Manager. Turn on automatic rotation for the secret. Attach the required permissions to the EC2 role to grant access to the secret. Option D. Store the database credentials as encrypted parameters in AWS Systems Manager parameter store. Turn on automatic rotation for the encrypted parameters. Attach the required permissions to the EC2 role to grant access to the encrypted parameters. The correct answer is option C. AWS Secrets Manager securely stores credentials, automatically rotates them, and integrates with RDS. It eliminates hard coding credentials and manages rotation with minimal operational overhead. The EC2 instance can retrieve credentials securely via IAM roles. A company is storing sensitive user information in an Amazon S3 bucket. The company wants to provide secure access to this bucket from the application tier running on Amazon EC2 instances inside a VPC. Which combination of steps should a solutions architect take to accomplish this? Choose two options. Option A. Configure a VPC gateway endpoint for Amazon S3 within the VPC. Option B. Create a bucket policy to make the objects in the S3 bucket public. Option C. Create a bucket policy that limits access to only the application tier running in the VPC. Option D. Create an IAM user with an S3 access policy and copy the IAM credentials to the EC2 instance. Option E. Create a NAT instance and have the EC2 instances use the NAT instance to access the S3 bucket. The correct options are option A and option C. VPC gateway endpoint allows secure private access to S3 without using the internet. Bucket policy for VPC restricts S3 access to only the EC2 instances in the specific VPC. Next question. A solutions architect is using Amazon S3 to design the storage architecture of a new digital media application. The media files must be resilient to the loss of an activity zone. Some files are accessed frequently while other files are rarely accessed in an unpredictable pattern. The solutions architect must minimize the costs of storing and retrieving the media files. Which storage option meets these requirements? Option A. S3 standard. Option B. S3 intelligent tiering. Option C. S3 standard infrequent access. Option D. S3 one zone infrequent access. The correct answer is option B. S3 intelligent tiering. S3 intelligent tiering automatically moves data between frequent and infrequent access tiers based on usage. It provides resiliency across multiple availability zones. It minimizes cost without requiring manual tiering decisions. Next question. A company runs an on-premises application that is powered by a MySQL database. The company is migrating the application to AWS to increase the application's elasticity and availability. The current architecture shows heavy read activity on the database during times of normal operation. Every 4 hours, the company's development team pulls a full export of the production database to populate a database in the staging environment. During this period, users experience unacceptable application latency. The development team is unable to use the staging environment until the procedure completes. A solutions architect must recommend replacement architecture that alleviates the application latency issue. The replacement architecture also must give the development team the ability to continue using the staging environment without delay. Which solution will which solution meets these requirements? Answer option B. Use Amazon Aurora MySQL with multi-AZ Aurora replicas for production. Use database cloning to create the staging database on demand. Aurora cloning creates fast, low-impact copies for staging without affecting production. Aurora replicas handle read traffic and ensure high availability. Next question. A company is designing an application. The application uses an AWS Lambda function to receive information through Amazon API Gateway and to store the information in an Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL database. During the proof of concept stage, the company has to increase the Lambda quotas significantly to handle the high volumes of data that the company needs to load into the database. A solutions architect must recommend a new design to improve scalability and minimize the configuration effort. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Refactor the Lambda function code to Apache Tomcat code that runs on Amazon EC2 instances. Connect the database by using native Java database connectivity drivers. The correct answer, option D. Set up two Lambda functions. Configure one function to receive the information. Configure the other function to load the information into the database. Integrate the Lambda functions by using an Amazon Simple Queue service queue. Using Amazon Simple Queue service decouples ingestion from database writes, improves scalability, and avoids Lambda concurrency limits. Each Lambda handles a specific task efficiently. Next question. A company is designing an application where users upload small files into Amazon S3. After a user uploads a file, the file requires one-time simple processing to transform the data and save the data in JSON format for the later analysis. Each file must be processed as quickly as possible after it is uploaded. Demand will vary. On some days, users will upload a high number of files. On other days, users will upload a few files or no files. Which solution meets these requirements with the least operational overhead? Answer, option C. Configure Amazon S3 to send an event notification to an Amazon Simple Queue service queue. Use an AWS Lambda function to read from the queue and process the data. Store the resulting JSON file in Amazon DynamoDB. Using S3 event notifications plus SQS plus Lambda provides automatic serverless event-driven processing with low operational overhead. It scales with the demand and requires no server management. Next question. An e-commerce company wants to launch a one deal a day website on AWS. Each day will feature exactly one product on sale for a period of 24 hours. The company wants to be able to handle millions of requests each hour with millisecond latency during peak hours. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? The correct answer, option D. Use an Amazon S3 bucket to host the website's static content. Deploy an Amazon CloudFront distribution. Set the S3 bucket as the origin. Use Amazon API Gateway and AWS Lambda functions for the backend APIs. Store the data in Amazon DynamoDB. The serverless architecture S3 plus CloudFront plus API Gateway plus Lambda plus DynamoDB offers high scalability, millisecond latency, and low operational overhead, perfect for handling millions of requests during traffic spikes. Next question. An application allows users at a company's headquarters to access product data. The product data is stored in an Amazon RDS MySQL database instance. The operations team has isolated an application performance slowdown and wants to separate read traffic from write traffic. A solutions architect needs to optimize the application's performance quickly. What should the solutions architect recommend? The options are option A. Change the existing database to a multi-AZ deployment. Serve the read requests from the primary availability zone. Option B. Change the existing database to a multi-AZ deployment. Serve the read requests from the secondary availability zone. Option C, create read replicas for the database. Configure the read replicas with half of the compute and storage resources as the source database. Option D, create read replicas for the database. Configure the read replicas with the same compute and storage resources as the source database. The correct answer is option D. Creating read replicas with the same compute and storage as the source ensures they can handle the same read load, improving performance without affecting writes. Next question. A company runs an e-commerce application on Amazon EC2 instances behind an application load balancer. The instances run in an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling group across multiple availability zones. The auto-scaling group scales based on CPU utilization metrics. The e-commerce application stores the transaction data in a MySQL 8.0 database that is hosted on a large EC2 instance. The database's performance degrades quickly as application load increases. The application handles more read requests than write transactions. The company wants a solution that will automatically scale the database to meet the demand of unpredictable read workloads while maintaining high availability. The correct answer is option C. Use Amazon Aurora with a multi-AZ deployment. Configure Aurora autoscaling with Aurora replicas. Amazon Aurora with multi-AZ and autoscaling Aurora replicas automatically scales read capacity, maintains high availability, and handles unpredictable read workloads efficiently. Next question. An Amazon EC2 administrator created the following policy associated with an IAM group containing several users. What is the effect of this policy? The correct answer is option C. Let's move on to the next one. A company needs the ability to analyze the log files of its proprietary application. The logs are stored in JSON format in an Amazon S3 bucket. Queries will be simple and will run on demand. A solutions architect needs to perform the analysis with minimal changes to the existing architecture. What should the solutions architect do to meet these requirements with the least amount of operational overhead? Option A. Use Amazon Redshift to load all the content into one place and run the SQL queries as needed. Option B. Use Amazon CloudWatch logs to store the logs, run SQL queries as needed from the Amazon CloudWatch console. Option C. Use Amazon Athena directly with Amazon S3 to run the queries as needed. Option D. Use AWS Glue to catalog the logs. Use a transient Apache Spark cluster on Amazon EMR to run the SQL queries as needed. The correct answer is option C. Amazon Athena lets you run SQL queries directly on data stored in S3 with no infrastructure to manage, minimizing operational overhead. A company has a large Microsoft SharePoint deployment running on premises that requires Microsoft Windows shared file storage. The company wants to migrate this workload to the AWS cloud and is considering various storage options. The storage solution must be highly available and integrated with Active Directory for access control. Which solution will satisfy these requirements? Option A. Configure Amazon EFS storage and set the Active Directory domain for the authentication. Option B. Create an assembly file share on an AWS storage AWS storage gateway file gateway into availability zones. Option C. Create an Amazon S3 bucket and configure Microsoft Windows Server to mount it as a volume. Option D. Create an Amazon FSx for Windows File Server file system on AWS and set the Active Directory domain for authentication. The correct answer option D. Amazon FSx for Windows File Server provides fully managed, highly available Windows file shares with native Active Directory integration. Next question. A company observes an increase in Amazon EC2 costs in its most recent bill. The billing team notices unwanted vertical scaling of instance types for a couple of EC2 instances. A solutions architect needs to create a graph comparing the last 2 months of EC2 costs and perform an in-depth analysis to identify the root cause of the vertical scaling. How should the solutions architect generate the information with the least operational overhead? Pause the video and try to answer the question before I reveal. The correct answer is option B. Use Cost Explorer's granular filtering feature to perform an in-depth analysis of EC2 costs based on instance types. Cost Explorer provides detailed, easy-to-use filtering and visualization for analyzing EC2 costs by instance type with minimal setup. Next question. An image processing company has a web application that users use to upload images. The application uploads the images into an Amazon S3 bucket. The company has set up S3 event notifications to publish the object creation events to an Amazon Simple Queue service standard queue. The SQS queue serves as the event source for an AWS Lambda function that processes the images and sends the results to users through mail, email. Users report that they are receiving multiple email messages for every uploaded image. A solutions architect determines that SQS messages are invoking the Lambda function more than once, resulting in multiple email messages. What should the solutions architect do to resolve this issue with the least operational overhead? The correct answer is option C. Increase the visibility timeout in the SQS queue to a value that is greater than the total of the function timeout and the batch window timeout. Increasing the SQS visibility timeout prevents messages from being processed multiple times by ensuring the message stays invisible while Lambda processes it, reducing duplicate invocations with minimal operational overhead. Next question. A company is storing backup files by using Amazon S3 standard storage. The files are accessed frequently for 1 month. However, the files are not accessed after 1 month. The company must keep the files indefinitely. Which storage solution will meet these requirements most cost effectively? Option A. Configure S3 intelligent tiering to automatically migrate objects. Option B. Create an S3 lifecycle configuration to transition objects from S3 standard to S3 Glacier Deep Archive after 1 month. Option B is the correct answer. Option C. Create an S3 lifecycle configuration to transition objects from S3 standard to S3 standard infrequent access after 1 month. Option D. Create an S3 lifecycle configuration to transition objects from S3 standard to S3 one zone infrequent access after 1 month. As I said, option B is the correct answer. Transitioning objects to S3 Glacier Deep Archive after 1 month is the most cost-effective way to store data that is infrequently accessed but must be kept indefinitely. Next question. A company is implementing a shared storage solution for a gaming application that is hosted in an on-premises data center. The company needs the ability to use Lustre clients to access data. The solution must be fully managed. Which solution meets these requirements? Don't forget to subscribe my channel for more practice questions with the detailed explanation. So the correct answer is option D. Create an Amazon FSx cluster file systems. Attach the file system to the origin server. Connect the application server to the file system. Amazon FSx for Lustre is a fully managed Lustre file system that supports Lustre clients and is designed for high performance shared storage. Let's move on to the next one. A company wants to improve its ability to clone large amounts of production data into a test environment in the same AWS region. The data is stored in Amazon EC2 instances on Amazon Elastic Block Store volumes. Modifications to the cloned data must not affect the production environment. The software that accesses this data requires consistently high input and output performance. A solutions architect needs to minimize the time that is required to clone the production data into the test environment. Which solution will meet these requirements? The correct answer is option D. Take EBS snapshots of the production EBS volumes. Turn on the EBS fast snapshot. Restore the feature on the EBS snapshots. Restore the snapshots into new EBS volumes. Attach the new EBS volumes to EC2 instances in the test environment. Using EBS fast snapshot, restore allows new EBS volumes to be stored from snapshots with fully initialized blocks, minimizing the time to clone large production data with high input and output performance in the test environment. Next question. A company's dynamic website is hosted using on-premises servers in the United States. The company is launching its production in Europe and it wants to optimize site loading times for new European users. The site's backend must remain in the United States. The product is being launched in a few days and an immediate solution is needed. What should the solutions architect recommend? So the correct answer is option C. Use Amazon CloudFront with a custom origin pointing to the on-premises servers. Using Amazon CloudFront with a custom origin pointing to the on-premises servers caches content at edge locations in Europe, improving load times immediately without moving the backend. Next question. A company has a three-tier web application that is deployed on AWS. The web servers are deployed in a public subnet in a VPC. The application servers and database servers are deployed in private subnets in the same VPC. The company has deployed a third-party virtual firewall appliance from AWS Marketplace in an inspection VPC. The appliance is configured with an IP interface that can accept IP packets. A solutions architect needs to integrate the web application with the appliance to inspect all traffic to the application before the traffic reaches the web server. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? The correct answer is option D. Deploy a gateway load balancer in the inspection VPC. Create a gateway load balancer endpoint to receive the incoming packets and forward the packets to the appliance. Gateway load balancer integrates with the third-party appliances for seamless, scalable traffic inspection with minimal operational overhead. Next question. A company hosts its its web applications in the AWS cloud. The company configures Elastic Load Balancers to use certificates that are imported into AWS Certificates Manager. The company's security team must be notified 30 days before the expiration of each certificate. What should a solutions architect recommend to meet these requirements? The correct answer is Option B. Create an AWS config rule that checks for certificates that will expire within 30 days. Configure Amazon Event Bridge to invoke a custom alert by way of Amazon Simple Notification Service when AWS config reports a non-compliant resource. AWS config can monitor ACM certificates for impending expiration, and Event Bridge can trigger SNS notifications 30 days before expiry with minimal effort. Next question. A company's application integrates with multiple software as a service sources for data collection. The company runs Amazon EC2 instances to receive the data and to upload the data to an Amazon S3 bucket for analysis. The same EC2 instance that receives and uploads the data also sends a notification to the user when an upload is complete. The company has noticed slow application performance and wants to improve the performance as much as possible. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? The correct answer is option B. Create an Amazon App Flow to transfer data between each software as a service source and the S3 bucket. Configure an S3 event notification to send events to an Amazon simple notification service topic when the upload to the S3 bucket is complete. Using Amazon App Flow directly integrates software as a service sources with S3, removing the need for EC2 instances to manage data transfer and improving performance with minimal operational overhead. A solutions architect is designing the cloud architecture for a new application being deployed on AWS. The process should run in parallel while adding and removing application nodes as needed based on the number of jobs to be processed. The processor application is stateless. The solutions architect must ensure that the application is loosely coupled and the job items are durably stored. Which design should the solutions architect use? The correct answer is option C. Create an Amazon SQS queue to hold the jobs that need to be processed. Create an Amazon machine image that consists of the processor application. Create a launch template that uses the AMI. Create an auto-scaling group using the launch template. Set the scaling policy for the auto-scaling group to add and remove nodes based on the number of items in the SQS queue. Use an SQS queue to durably store jobs and scale EC2 instances based on the queue length, ensuring loose coupling and parallel processing. Next question. A company is migrating applications to AWS. The applications are deployed in different accounts. The company manages the accounts centrally by using AWS organizations. The company's security team needs a single sign-on solution across all the company's accounts. The company must continue managing the users and the groups in its on-premises self-managed Microsoft Active Directory. Which solution will meet these requirements? The correct answer is option A. Enable AWS single sign-on from the AWS SSO console. Create a one-way forest trust or a one-way domain trust to connect the company's self-managed Microsoft Active Directory with AWS single sign-on by using AWS Directory Service for Microsoft Active Directory. AWS single sign-on supports integration with on-premises Active Directory via a one-way trust using AWS managed Microsoft AD, enabling single sign-on across accounts while keeping user management on premises. Next question. A company recently signed a contract with an AWS managed service provider partner, AWS managed service provider partner for help with an application migration initiative. A solutions architect needs to share an Amazon machine image from an existing AWS account with the MSP partner's AWS account. The AMI, the AMI is backed by Amazon Elastic Block Store and uses an AWS key management service, customer managed key, to encrypt ABS volume snapshots. What is the most secure way for the solutions architect to share the AMI with the MSP partner's account? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. The correct answer is option B. Modify the launch permission property of the AMI. Share the AMI with the MSP partner's AWS account only. Modify the key policy to allow the MSP partner's AWS account to use the key. Modify the AMI's launch permissions to share it only with the MSP partner's AWS account and update the existing KMS key policy to grant that account permission the key to use the key. This ensures secure, controlled access without making resources public. Next question. A company that hosts its web application on AWS wants to ensure all Amazon EC2 instances, Amazon RDS DB instances, and Amazon Redshift clusters are configured with the tags. The company wants to minimize the effort of configuring and operating this check. What should a solutions architect do to accomplish this? Option A. Use AWS config rules to define and detect resources that are not properly tagged. Option B. Use Cost Explorer to display resources that are not properly tagged. Tag those resources manually. Option C. Write API calls to check all resources for proper tag allocation. Periodically run the code on an EC2 instance. Option D. Write API calls to check all resources for proper tag allocation. Schedule an AWS Lambda function through Amazon CloudWatch to periodically run the code. The correct answer is the correct answer is option A. AWS config can automatically check resource configurations, including tags, across supported services with minimal setup and operational effort. Next question. A company is planning to use an Amazon DynamoDB table for data storage. The company is concerned about cost optimization. The table will not be used on most mornings. In the evenings, in the evenings, the read and write traffic will often be unpredictable. When traffic spikes occurs, they will happen very quickly. What should a solutions architect recommend? Option A. Create a DynamoDB table in on-demand capacity mode. Option B. Create a DynamoDB table with a global secondary index. Option C. Create a DynamoDB table with provisioned capacity and autoscaling. Option D. Create a DynamoDB table in provisioned capacity mode and configure it as a global table. The correct answer is option A. On-demand mode is ideal for unpredictable traffic with sudden spikes and periods of low or no usage, providing cost efficiency without the need to manage capacity settings. Next question. A company wants to run its critical applications in containers to meet requirements for scalability and availability. The company prefers to focus on maintenance of the critical applications. The company does not want to be responsible for provisioning and managing the underlying infrastructure that runs the containerized workload. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Use Amazon EC2 instances and install Docker on the instances. Option B. Use Amazon Elastic Container Service on Amazon EC2 worker nodes. Option C. Use Amazon Elastic Container Service on AWS Fargate. Option D. Use Amazon EC2 instances from an Amazon Elastic Container Service. Optimize Amazon machine image. The correct answer is option C. Fargate is a serverless compute engine for containers that removes the need to provision and manage infrastructure, letting the company focus on their applications while ensuring scalability and availability. Next question. A company needs to keep user transaction data in an Amazon DynamoDB table. The company must retain the data for 7 years. What is the most operationally efficient solution that meets these requirements? Option A. Use DynamoDB point-in-time recovery to backup the table continuously. Option B. Use AWS Backup to create backup schedules and retention policies for the table. Option C. Create an on-demand backup of the table by using the DynamoDB console. Store the backup in an Amazon S3 bucket. Set an S3 lifecycle configuration for the S3 bucket. Option D. Create an Amazon Event Bridge rule to invoke an AWS Lambda function. Configure the Lambda function to backup the table and to store the backup in an Amazon S3 bucket. Set an S3 lifecycle configuration for the S3 bucket. The correct answer is option B. Use AWS Backup to create backup schedules and retention policies for the table. AWS Backup provides an automated, centralized way to schedule backups and manage retention for DynamoDB tables, minimizing operational overhead while meeting the 7-year data retention requirement. Next question. A company needs to review its AWS cloud deployment to ensure that its Amazon S3 buckets do not have unauthorized configuration changes. What should a solutions architect do to accomplish this goal? Option A. Turn on AWS config with appropriate rules. Option B. Turn on AWS Trusted Advisor with the appropriate checks. Option C. Turn on Amazon Inspector with the appropriate assessment template. Option D. Turn on Amazon S3 server access logging. Configure Amazon Event Bridge. The correct answer is option A. AWS config continuously monitors and records AWS resource configurations, including Amazon S3 bucket configurations, and evaluates them against desired configurations or compliance rules. This allows detection of unauthorized changes effectively. Next question. A company needs to configure a real-time data ingestion architecture for its application. The company needs an API, a process that transforms data as the data is streamed, and a storage solution for the data. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? The correct answer is option C. Configure an Amazon API Gateway API to send data to an Amazon Kinesis data stream. Create an Amazon Kinesis data warehouse delivery stream that uses the Kinesis data stream as a data source. Use AWS Lambda functions to transform the data. Use the Kinesis data warehouse delivery stream to send the data to Amazon S3. Use API Gateway, Kinesis data stream, Kinesis data warehouse with Lambda for transformation, Amazon S3. This is fully managed and has minimal operational overhead. Next question. A company has an on-premises application that generates a large amount of time-sensitive data that is backed up to Amazon S3. The application has grown and there are user complaints about internet bandwidth limitations. A solutions architect needs to design a long-term solution that allows for both timely backups to Amazon S3 to Amazon S3 and with minimal impact on internet connectivity for internal users. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A, establish AWS VPN connections and proxy all traffic through a VPC gateway endpoint. Option B, establish a new AWS Direct Connect connection and direct backup traffic through this new connection. Option C, order daily AWS Snowball devices, load the data onto the Snowball devices and return the devices to AWS each day. Option D, submit a support ticket through the AWS Management Console. Request the removal of S3 service limits from the account. The correct answer is option B. Direct Connect gives fast, dedicated backup without using internet bandwidth. A company receives 10 TB of instrumentation data each day from several machines located at a single factory. The data consists of JSON files stored on a storage area network in an on-premises data center located within the factory. The company wants to send this data to Amazon S3 where it can be accessed by several additional systems that provide critical near real-time analytics. A secure transfer is important because the data is considered sensitive. This solution offers the most reliable data transfer. Option A, AWS Data Sync over public internet. Option B, AWS Data Sync over AWS Direct Connect. Option C, AWS Database Migration Service over public internet. Option D, AWS Database Migration Service over AWS Direct Connect. The correct answer is option B, AWS Data Sync over AWS Direct Connect. Reliable, secure, and fast transfer of large JSON files using data sync with a dedicated direct connect link. Next question. A development team runs monthly resource intensive tests on its general purpose Amazon RDS for MySQL DB instance with performance insights enabled. The testing lasts for 48 hours once a month and is the only process that uses the database. The team wants to reduce the cost of running the tests without reducing the compute and memory attributes of the DB instance. Which solution meets these requirements most cost effectively? Option A, stop the DB instance when tests are completed. Restart the DB instance when required. Option B, use an auto-scaling policy with the DB instance to automatically scale when tests are completed. Option C, create a snapshot when tests are completed, terminate the DB instance and restore the snapshots when required. Option D, modify the DB instance to a low capacity instance when tests are completed. Modify the DB instance again when required. The correct answer is option C. Take a snapshot after tests, terminate the DB instance to save costs, then restore it from the snapshot before the next test. Next question. A company wants to move a multi-tiered application from on-premises to the AWS cloud to improve the application's performance. The application consists of application tiers that communicate with each other by way of RESTful services. Transactions are dropped when one tier becomes overloaded. A solutions architect must design a solution that resolves these issues and modernize the application. This solution meets these requirements and the most operationally efficient. The correct answer is option A. Use Amazon API Gateway and direct transactions to the AWS Lambda functions as the application layer. Use Amazon Simple Queue service as the communication layer between application services. Use API Gateway plus Lambda for app layer and SQL to decouple tiers. Improves performance, handles overload, and reduces ops overhead. Next question. A company needs to store its accounting records in Amazon S3. The records must be immediately accessible for 1 year, and then must be achieved for an additional 9 years. No one at the company, including administrative users and root users, can be able to delete the records during the entire 10-year period. The record the records must be stored with maximum resiliency. Which solution will meet these requirements? The correct answer is option C. Use an S3 lifecycle policy to transition the records from S3 standard to S3 Glacier Deep Archive after 1 year. Use S3 object lock in compliance mode for a period of 10 years. Use S3 lifecycle to move data from standard to Glacier Deep archive after 1 year, and apply S3 object lock in compliance mode for 10 years. Prevent any deletion, even by admins. Next question. A solutions architect is designing a two-tier web application. The application consists of a public-facing web tier hosted on Amazon EC2 public subnets. The database tier consists of Microsoft SQL Server running on Amazon EC2 in a private subnet. Security is a high priority for the company. How should security groups be configured in this situation? Choose two options. The correct options are option A and option C. Next question. A development team needs to host a website that will be accessed by other teams. The website consists of HTML, CSS, client-side JavaScript, and images. Which method is the most cost-effective for hosting the website? Option A. Containerize the website and host it in AWS Fargate. Option B. Create an Amazon S3 bucket and host the website there. Option C. Deploy a web server on an Amazon EC2 instance to host the website. Option D. Configure an application load balancer with an AWS Lambda target that uses the Express.js framework. The correct answer is option B. Create an Amazon S3 bucket and host the website there. Static website contents like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and images can be hosted cost effectively and scalably on Amazon S3 without managing servers. Next question. A company recently launched Linux-based application instances on Amazon EC2 in a private subnet and launched a Linux-based version host on an Amazon EC2 instance in a public subnet of a VPC. A solutions architect needs to connect from the on-premises network through the company's internet connection to the bastion host and to the application servers. The solutions architect must make sure that the security groups of all the EC2 instances will allow that access. Which combination of steps should the solutions architect take to meet these requirements? Choose two options. The correct options are option C and option D. The bastion host should allow inbound SSH only from your company's external IP range. The application servers should allow SSH only from the private IP of the bastion host, since traffic to the app servers will come from the bastion host inside the VPC. Next question. A company maintains a searchable repository of items on its website. The data is stored in an Amazon RDS for MySQL database table that contains more than 10 million rows. The database has 2 TB of general purpose SSD storage. There are millions of updates against this data every day through the company's website. The company has noticed that some insert operations are taking 10 seconds or longer. The company has determined that the database storage performance is the problem. Which solution addresses this performance issue? Option A. Change the storage type to provisioned IOPS SSD. Option B. Change the DB instance to a memory optimized instance class. Option C. Change the DB instance to a burstable performance instance class. Option D. Enable multi-AZ RDS read replicas with MySQL native asynchronous replication. The correct answer is option A. The issue is storage performance causing slow inserts. Provisioned IOPS SSD provides consistently high and predictable input and output performance, which will improve write throughput better than general purpose SSD. Next question. A company runs a photo processing application that needs to frequently upload and download pictures from Amazon S3 buckets that are located in the same AWS region. A solutions architect has noticed an increased cost in data transfer fees and needs to implement a solution to reduce these costs. How can the solutions architect meet this requirement? The correct answer is option D. Deploy an S3 VPC gateway and attach an endpoint policy that allows access to the S3 buckets. An S3 VPC gateway endpoint allows traffic between your VPC and Amazon S3 without going over the public internet, reducing data transfer costs. By setting up a VPC endpoint, you avoid data charges that occur when data is transferred out of AWS over public internet. You can control access to the S3 buckets by attaching an endpoint policy to the VPC endpoint. Next question. A company hosts its multi-tier applications on AWS for compliance, governance, auditing, and security. The company must track configuration changes on its AWS resources and record a history of API calls made to these resources. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Use AWS CloudTrail to track configuration changes and AWS config to record API calls. Option B. Use AWS config to track configuration changes and AWS CloudTrail to record API calls. Option C. Use AWS config to track configuration changes and Amazon CloudWatch to record API calls. Option D. Use AWS CloudTrail to track configuration changes and Amazon CloudWatch to record API calls. Correct answer is option B. Use AWS config tracks configuration changes for resources and AWS CloudTrail records API calls made to AWS resources. A company runs a shopping application that uses Amazon DynamoDB to store customer information. In case of data corruption, a solutions architect needs to design a solution that meets a recovery point objective of 15 minutes and recovery time of objective of 1 hour. What should the solutions architect recommend to meet these requirements? The correct answer is option B. Configure DynamoDB point in time recovery for RPO recovery. Restore to the desired point in time. RPO of 15 minutes is met by PITR. Restore to any point within the last 35 days for quick recovery, fulfilling the RTO of 1 hour. Next question. A company runs multiple Windows workloads on AWS. The company's employees use Windows file shares that are hosted on two Amazon EC2 instances. The file shares synchronize data between themselves and maintain duplicate copies. The company wants a highly available and durable storage solution that preserves how users currently access the files. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Subscribe to this channel for more practice questions. The correct answer is option C. Extend the file share environment to Amazon FSx for Windows File Server with a multi-AZ configuration. Migrate all the data to FSx for Windows File Server. FSx for Windows File Server offers high availability and durability with a multi-AZ configuration. It is compatible with Windows file share protocols, ensuring minimal disruption and preserving how users access files. Next question. A company provides a voice over Internet protocol service that uses UDP connections. The service consists of Amazon EC2 instances that run in autoscaling group. The company has deployments across multiple AWS regions. The company needs to route users to the region with the lowest latency. The company also needs automated failover between regions. This solution will meet these requirements. The correct answer is option A. Deploy a network load balancer and an associated target group. Associate the target group with the autoscaling group. Use the NLB as an AWS Global Accelerator endpoint in each region. Network load balancer is ideal for handling UDP traffic and provides low latency routing. AWS Global Accelerator automatically routes users to the region with the lowest latency and enables automated failover between regions, ensuring high availability and resiliency. Next question. A company has an application that provides marketing services to stores. The services are based on previous purchases by store customers. The stores upload transaction data to the company through SFTP, and the data is processed and analyzed to generate new marketing offers. Some of the files can exceed 200 GB in size. Recently, the company discovered that some of the stores have uploaded files that contain personally identifiable information that should not have been included. The company wants administrators to be alerted if PII is shared again. The company also wants to automate remediation. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements with the least development effort? The correct answer is option B. Amazon S3 is used as the secure transfer point for file uploads. Amazon Messi automatically scans objects for PII with a minimal setup. Amazon SMS triggers a notification to administrators for action, ensuring automation without custom code or complex remediations. Next question. A company is preparing to launch a public-facing web application in the AWS cloud. The architecture consists of Amazon EC2 instances within a VPC behind an elastic load balancer. A third-party service is used for the DNS. The company's solutions architect must recommend a solution to detect and protect against large-scale DDoS attacks. Which solution meets these requirements? Option A. Enable Amazon Guard Duty on the account. Option B. Enable Amazon Inspector on the EC2 instances. Option C. Enable AWS Shield and assign Amazon Route 53 to it. Option D. Enable AWS Shield Advanced and assign the ELB to it. The correct answer is option D. AWS Shield Advanced provides DDoS protection for applications running on AWS. It specifically protects elastic load balancers against large-scale DDoS attacks. AWS Shield Advanced is designed for high-level protection, monitoring, and automatic mitigation against attacks. Next question. A company has a data ingestion workflow that consists of the following: an Amazon Simple Notification Service topic for notifications about new data deliveries, an AWS Lambda function to process the data and record metadata. The company observes that the ingestion workflow fails occasionally because of network connectivity issues. When such a failure occurs, the Lambda function does not ingest the corresponding data unless the company manually reruns the job. Which combination of actions should a solutions architect take to ensure that the Lambda function ingests all data in the future? Choose two options. The correct options are option B and option E. Using Amazon SQS as an intermediary allows you to reliably store messages before they are processed by Lambda. This ensures that the Lambda function can process them at a later time, even if it fails due to temporary issues, preventing message loss. Modifying the Lambda function to read from the SQS queue ensures that the function consumes messages asynchronously and can retry processing without losing data even when network issues occur. SQS provides durability and retry logic, so Lambda will continue processing message until successful. Next question. A company is building an application in the AWS cloud. The application will store data in Amazon S3 buckets in two AWS regions. The company must use an AWS key management service customer managed key to to encrypt all data that is stored in the S3 buckets. The data in both S3 buckets must be encrypted and decrypted with the same KMS key. The data and the key must be stored in each of the two regions. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? The correct answer is option B. Create a customer managed multi-region KMS, KMS key, create an S3 bucket in each region, configure replication between the S3 buckets, configure the application to use the KMS key with client-side encryption. Next question. A company recently launched a variety of new workloads on Amazon EC2 instances in its AWS account. The company needs to create a strategy to access and administer the instances remotely and securely. The company needs to implement a repeatable process that works with native AWS services and follows the AWS well architected framework. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? The correct answer is option B. Attach the appropriate IAM role to each existing instance. A new instance use AWS Systems Manager session manager to establish a remote SSH session. Attach an IAM role to each instance and use AWS Systems Manager session manager. This allows for secure remote administration of EC2 instances without needing SSH or version hosts, minimize, minimizing operational overhead and following best practices. Next question. A company has thousands of edge devices that collectively generate 1 TB of status alerts each day. Each alert is approximately 2 KB in size. A solutions architect needs to implement a solution to ingest and store the alerts for future analysis. The company wants a highly available solution. However, the company needs to minimize costs and does not want to manage additional infrastructure. Additionally, the company wants to keep 14 days of data available for immediate analysis and archive any data older than 14 days. What is the most operationally efficient solution that meets these requirements? Option A is the correct answer. Kinesis Data Firehouse automatically ingests data and delivers it to an S3 bucket. You can set up an S3 lifecycle policy to transition data to S3 Glacier after 14 days, making the solution high available, cost effective, and automated with minimal operational overhead. Next question. A company wants to migrate its on premises application to AWS. The application produces output files that vary in size from tens of gigabytes to hundreds of terabytes. The application data must be stored in a standard file system structure. The company wants a solution that scales automatically, is highly available, and requires minimum operational overhead. Which solution will meet these requirements? The correct answer is option C. Migrate the application to Amazon EC2 instances in a multi-AZ auto-scaling group. Use Amazon Elastic File System for storage. Amazon Elastic File System provides a scalable, highly available file storage solution that automatically adjusts to your storage needs. It can be accessed by multiple EC2 instances simultaneously, and it requires minimal operational overhead, making it ideal for applications that need to store data in a file system structure and scale automatically. A company has an Amazon S3 bucket that contains critical data. The company must protect the data from accidental deletion. Which combination of steps should a solutions architect take to meet these requirements? Choose two options. Option A, enable versioning on the S3 bucket. Option B, enable MFA, that means multi-factor authentication. Delete on the S3 bucket. Option C, create a bucket policy on the S3 bucket. Option D, enable default encryption on the S3 bucket. Option E, create a lifecycle policy for the objects in the S3 bucket. The correct options are option A and option B. First option, versioning keeps multiple versions of an object which protects the data from accidental deletion, as the previous version can still be recovered even if the latest version is deleted. And the second one, option B, MFA delete requires multi-factor authentication to delete objects or permanently remove versions, adding an extra layer of protection against accidental or malicious deletions. Next question. A company stores call transcript files on a monthly basis. Users access the files randomly within 1 year of the call, but users access the files infrequently after 1 year. The company wants to optimize its solution by giving users the ability to query and retrieve files that are less than 1 year old as quickly as possible. A delay in a delay in retrieving older files is acceptable. Which solution will meet these requirements most cost effectively? The correct answer is option B. Store individual files in Amazon S3 intelligent tiering. Use S3 lifecycle policies to move the files to S3 Glacier flexible retrieval after 1 year. Query and retrieve the files that are in Amazon S3 by using Amazon Athena. Query and retrieve the files that are in S3 Glacier by using S3 Glacier Select. Store files in S3 intelligent tiering for cost-effective storage. Use S3 lifecycle to move data to Glacier after 1 year. Query with Athena for active files and S3 Glacier. Select for archived files. Next question. A company is developing an application that provides order shipping statistics for retrieval by a REST API. The company wants to extract the shipping statistics, organize the data into an easy to read HTML format, and send the report to several email addresses at the same time every morning. Which combination of steps should a solutions architect take to meet these requirements? Choose two options. The correct options are Option D and option B. AWS Lambda can be scheduled to pull the data from the API at regular intervals and process it. SES is the best service for sending emails and can be used to send the report in HTML format to multiple recipients. Next question. A company is hosting a static website on Amazon S3 and is using Amazon Route 53 for DNS. The website is experiencing increased demand from around the world. The company must decrease latency for users who access the website. This solution meets these requirements most cost effectively. The correct answer is option C. Add an Amazon CloudFront distribution in front of the S3 bucket. Edit the Route 53 entries to point to the CloudFront distribution. CloudFront is a content delivery network that caches content at edge locations globally. This decreases latency by serving content from the nearest edge location to the user. The most cost-effective solution is to use CloudFront, which minimizes latency while reducing the load on your S3 bucket. Next question. A company runs an online marketplace web application on AWS. The application serves hundreds of thousands of users during peak hours. The company needs a scalable, near real-time solution to share the details of millions of financial transactions with several other internal applications. Transactions also need to be processed to remove sensitive data before being stored in a document database for low latency retrieval. What should a solutions architect recommend to meet these requirements? The correct answer is option C. Stream the transactions data into Amazon Genesis data streams. Use AWS Lambda to remove sensitive data and store the clean data in Amazon DynamoDB. Other applications can consume the data from the stream. Genesis data streams enables real-time data processing. AWS Lambda processes the data to remove sensitive information. DynamoDB stores the cleaned data for fast, low latency access by other applications. Next question. A company needs guaranteed Amazon EC2 capacity in three specific availability zones in a specific AWS region for an upcoming event that will last 1 week. What should the company do to guarantee the EC2 capacity? Option A. Purchase reserved instances that specify the region needed. Option B. Create an on-demand capacity reservation that specifies the region needed. Option C. Purchase reserved instances that specify the region and three availability zones needed. Option D. Create an on-demand capacity reservation that specifies the region and three availability zones needed. The correct answer is option D. On-demand capacity reservations allow you to reserve capacity in specific availability zones for EC2 instances. This guarantees the availability of the desired capacity for the specified time period without committing to long-term usage, unlike reserved instances, which provide cost savings but do not guarantee capacity. On-demand capacity reservations ensure capacity is available when required. Next question. A company's website uses an Amazon EC2 instance store for its catalog of items. The company wants to make sure that the catalog is highly available and that the catalog is stored in a durable location. What should a solutions architect do to meet these requirements? Option A. Move the catalog to Amazon Elastic Cache for Redis. Option B. Deploy a larger EC2 instance with a larger instance store. Option C. Move the catalog from the instance store to Amazon S3 Glacier Deep Archive. Option D, move the catalog to an Amazon Elastic file system. The correct answer for this question is option D. Amazon EFS is a fully managed, scalable, and highly available file storage service that is designed to be durable and scalable from multiple EC2 instances. Unlike EC2 instance, stores which are ephemeral and lose data when the instance is stopped or terminated. EFS provides persistent storage with automatic replication across availability zones for durability. This solution ensures both high availability and durability for the catalog of items. Next question. A company hosts more than 300 global websites and applications. The company requires a platform to analyze more than 30 TB of clickstream data each day. What should a solutions architect do to transmit and process the clickstream data? Just two questions left. The correct answer for this question is option D. Collect the data from Amazon Kinesis data streams. Use Amazon Kinesis data warehouse to transmit the data to an Amazon S3 data lake. Load the data in Amazon Redshift for analysis. Use Amazon Kinesis data streams to collect the clickstream data. Then use Kinesis data warehouse to store it in Amazon S3. Load the data into Amazon Redshift for analysis. This solution is scalable, cost effective, and allows for real time processing of large data sets. Next question. A company has a website hosted on AWS. The website is behind an application load balancer that is configured to handle HTTP and HTTPS separately. The company wants to forward all requests to the website so that the requests will use HTTPS. What should a solutions architect do to meet this requirement? Option A. Update the ALB's network ACL to accept only HTTPS traffic. Option B. Create a rule that replaces the HTTP in the URL with HTTPS. Option C. Create a listener rule on the ALB to redirect HTTP traffic to HTTPS. Option D. Replace the ALB with a network load balancer configured to use server name indication. The correct answer is option C. Create a listener rule on the ALB to redirect HTTP traffic to HTTPS. This allows the application load balancer to automatically redirect all HTTP requests to HTTPS, ensuring secure communication for all users. Next question, question number 100. A company's containerized application runs on an Amazon EC2 instance. The application needs to download security certificates before it can communicate with other business applications. The company wants a highly secure solution to encrypt and decrypt the certificates in near real time. The solution also needs to store data in highly available storage after the data is encrypted. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Pause the video and try to answer the question before I reveal the answer. And do not forget to subscribe to this channel for more practice questions. The correct answer for this question is option C. Create an AWS key management service. Customer managed key allow the EC2 role to use the KMS key for encryption operations. Store the encrypted data on Amazon S3. AWS KMS securely encrypts, decrypts data. EC2 instance uses IAM role to access the KMS key. Store encrypted data in Amazon S3, ensuring high availability. Thank you so much for watching this video.